Welcome back. I'm Uday Pratap Singh. You're joining us on News X. Our big focus this hour, the Iran war protracts and missiles continue to rain down across West Asia. The current focus, the once safe haven of Dubai. From tourists to expatriates to citizens to multi-billion-dollar companies. Few may have estimated the impact the war in Iran could have had on Dubai, but impact it has had, with estimates running into billions and billions of dollars. Flights to and from Dubai International Airport as well as Abu Dhabi Zayed International Airport continue to be affected as war has had a major impact on aviation. Nearly 30 arrival and departure flights at the Dubai airport were cancelled in the past 24 hours alone. Estimates for losses incurred by Emirates, Etihad and Fly Dubai, the three major airlines operating in the region, are placed at $3.5 billion. Moreover, there are two things the Dubai economy majorly relies on: expats and the sea. And now both are under threat. Reports show how tens of thousands of expats, who form nearly 90% of Dubai's population, have fled since the start of the war. Then came the ports. The Dubai blue economy thrives off the sea, and now that is the nerve that Iran has struck. From the latest strike at a Kuwaiti tanker moored off Dubai's coast to earlier strikes targeting Dubai's lifeline, Dubai is grappling with a new reality far removed from the dream it once represented.
Dubai does not have a housing crisis. It has the opposite problem. And that opposite problem is, in many ways, more dangerous. The city that spent 2 decades convincing the world it had engineered a permanent economic miracle is now watching entire luxury districts sit silent, their glass towers gleaming under a sun with no one to witness it. Not because people cannot afford to live there, because they chose to leave. That distinction matters more than almost anything else you will hear about Dubai in the next 12 minutes. The standard narrative runs like this: Dubai is booming. Real estate transactions in Dubai hit a record high in 2023, with the Dubai Land Department registering over 120,000 property deals worth more than 634 billion dirhams, roughly 172 billion US dollars. Knight Frank reported a 44% price increase in the luxury segment in 2022 alone. Wealthy Russians poured in after Western sanctions froze their assets elsewhere. Crypto millionaires relocated to escape European tax regimes. The city's population climbed past 3.6 million. By every headline metric, Dubai was not losing people, it was gaining them. And yet, the towers in Dubai Sports City stand largely dark after midnight. The streets of International City echo in a way that master-planned communities are never supposed to echo. The man-made archipelago known as the World, one of the most photographed real estate projects in human history, remains so comprehensively undeveloped that more than 2 decades after its construction, it functions primarily as a destination for boat tours, not residents. 8 distinct districts, out each marketed at different moments as the future of urban luxury, each experiencing the same slow unraveling behind polished facades. Understanding why requires going back to a moment when Dubai's developers learned that the market would bail them out no matter how badly they miscalculated. That moment was 2009. The global financial crisis exposed what years of speculative excess had built in the desert. Property prices in Dubai fell by approximately 50 to 60% in 18 months. Nakheel, the state-linked developer behind the Palm Jumeirah and the World Islands, required a $10 billion bailout to avoid collapse. Dubai World, the sovereign investment vehicle behind much of the city's expansion, entered a debt restructuring process covering $25 billion of obligations. Arabtech, and which built some of the most recognizable towers in Dubai's skyline, eventually went bankrupt in 2020. These were not small tremors. They were structural failures on a civilizational scale, absorbed by a $20 billion Abu Dhabi government support package at the peak of the crisis. Here is what that rescue taught Dubai's real estate ecosystem. You can overbuild. You can sell units to speculators who never intend to live in them. You can launch districts without schools, without functioning grocery stores, without the basic tissue of daily life, and the state will protect the system. That lesson calcified into a business model. And that business model is exactly what produced the 8 districts now hollowing out from within. Take Discovery Gardens, and built by Nakheel in the mid-2000s near Jebel Ali and marketed as affordable luxury, a contradiction that should have been the first warning sign. Thousands of units were sold or leased, and at various points the development was genuinely populous, but it was always missing the connective infrastructure that turns a collection of buildings into a neighborhood. Public transportation remained inadequate for years after residents moved in. When better connected alternatives emerged elsewhere, residents with any economic mobility left. That quiet demographic shift changed the character of the development permanently. Then there is Dubai Sports City. Announced in 2004 and built around the Dubai International Cricket Stadium, as the concept was elegant, co-locate athletic infrastructure with residential towers and attract sports-oriented professionals. What actually materialized was a cluster of towers with no metro access, no functioning retail ecosystem, and no organic reason for people to be there unless a match was scheduled. Occupancy rates in some buildings hovered so low during the 2000s that property management companies openly discussed the numbers in trade publications. The stadium became a visual anchor for a neighborhood that was more architectural rendering than reality. Motor City, another Nakheel-linked development built around an automotive leisure theme, including a racetrack, followed the same arc. Launched with genuine enthusiasm, occupied by a first wave of residents drawn by relatively low prices and ambitious lifestyle promises, Antaik, and then gradually drained as the gap between the brochure and the lived experience became impossible to ignore. The pattern repeats with such precision across these developments that it stops looking like a series of individual mistakes and starts looking like an industry-wide assumption that if you build it large enough and market it aggressively enough, the community will simply appear. International City scaled the problem further. Designed to house communities organized by national architectural theme, with districts built to evoke China, Persia, France, and other cultural reference points, it attracted a predominantly lower-income workforce that had no other affordable options in the city. This was not what was marketed. The gap between the target demographic and the actual demographic produced a feedback loop. The retailers, or restaurants, and services that would have served the originally imagined residents never came because those residents never materialized, which made it impossible for subsequent buyers to choose International City over alternatives. The infrastructure remained perpetually underfunded relative to the actual population's needs, and the distance between its original concept and its lived reality became one of the widest in the city. Then came the world. If there is a single project that captures the full spectrum of Dubai's ambitions and its miscalculations, it is the archipelago of 300 artificial islands constructed between 2003 and 2008, visible from space, sold to celebrities and investors at prices that assumed development would follow immediately. It did not. The island suffered from water circulation problems. The logistical complexity of building on small, isolated land masses proved substantially more expensive than buyers anticipated. By 2023, the overwhelming majority of islands remained either entirely undeveloped or hosting only partial construction. One island, dubbed Lebanon, became modestly famous for hosting a small beach club. The rest remained what they had always been, a spectacular photograph that never became a functioning place. Mohammed Al-Abbar, the chairman of Emaar Properties, Dubai's largest listed developer, argued in various interviews that the market was underpinned by genuine demand. Emaar's flagship projects, Downtown Dubai and Dubai Marina, lend credibility to that argument. These two developments work, and they work because they were built with a completeness of infrastructure that created genuine urban gravity. The Burj Khalifa gives downtown Dubai an anchor no other district can replicate. The marina's walkable waterfront and metro connectivity solved the problems that killed the districts that lacked both. The gap between Emaar's successes and the failures listed here is not accidental. It is the difference between building a city and building a product that looks like a city. The arrival of wealthy migrants between 2021 and 2023 temporarily masked this structural problem. When Russian and Ukrainian business people began moving capital and residency to Dubai following the February 2022 invasion of Ukraine, they were not moving to Discovery Gardens. They concentrated in Palm Jumeirah penthouses, downtown Dubai towers, and Dubai Hills villas. The record transaction volumes were real. They were also geographically specific to a handful of developments, and they made the disparity between Dubai's winning districts and its ghost districts more pronounced, not less. Craig Plum, formerly head of research at JLL's Middle East division, pointed out in published research that Dubai's real estate market is fundamentally bifurcated. Prime locations demonstrate genuine price resilience and occupancy depth. Secondary and tertiary locations have consistently struggled to hold value or population against competition from new supply. The city produces new supply constantly because the business model rewards supply creation over community completion. Every new mega project that launches pulls potential residents and investors away from the previous generation of projects that never reached the density needed for organic sustainability. Dubai Silicon Oasis, a free zone and residential district built around technology industry clusters, offers a different version of the same failure. The concept was economically coherent: co-locate technology businesses with affordable housing for their employees. The free zone attracted genuine business registration. What it failed to attract was the street-level ecosystem that makes a district feel inhabited rather than occupied. The technology companies registered there and then housed their employees wherever those employees wanted to live, which was often not Dubai Silicon Oasis. And the gap between the free zone's business numbers and the district's actual foot traffic became a standing illustration of how registration data and lived density are completely different measures. Business Bay, which borders downtown Dubai and was designed as its commercial and residential extension, presents a subtler case. It has metro access, it has canal front amenity, it has proximity to downtown's gravity. And yet significant portions of its residential stock experienced vacancy rates for years that contradicted its prime positioning. The reason was a combination of oversupply and a canal development that was supposed to animate the district's street level arriving years later than projected. When you build the towers before you build the reason to be there, a percentage of buyers and renters wait. And waiting, in Dubai's market, means finding somewhere else. This is the argument that aggregate numbers are designed to obscure. Dubai's real estate market is growing. Specific parts of it are thriving, and specific other parts are sustaining populations far below what was needed to create the communities that were sold to the people who bought into them. The money flows to the winning districts. The population flows to the winning districts. The losing districts, built at enormous expense and still standing, maintain the appearance of a city without the substance of one. And the human cost of that gap is carried not by the developers who designed it, but by the families who paid for it. The pharmacy that closes because foot traffic cannot sustain it, the school that adjusts its fee structure upward because the income profile of the neighborhood shifted downward. The commute that runs 90 minutes each way because the transit connection that was promised arrived 5 years late, after the lease that could have been renewed elsewhere already was. The structural question the next 5 years will answer, one no transaction volume report can answer in advance, is whether these 8 districts will be absorbed into a growing city that eventually fills the gaps, or whether they will follow the arc of cities elsewhere that built faster than their populations could follow and ended up with permanent scars. This is being decided right now by individual families and companies making choices about where to locate their lives. Every one of those choices is a vote in a referendum no official institution is counting. And the people casting those votes know things about these places that no developer's prospectus will ever tell you. If you bought into one of these districts or chose to leave one, The real question is what the gap between the promise and the reality actually cost you.